Good morning. Welcome to this session on bifurcation. The title of this session is Bifurcation Disease, Technique or Concepts. I am the moderator, Thierry Lefebvre from France. We have also David Kansari from the US, Yves Louva from France also, and Dr. Duk Wo Park from Korea. So let's start about this discussion on bifurcation. And we plan to have two chapters. One is a technique approach, and the second one will be a concept approach, looking at functional or imaging tools. So as you know, there is a lot of meta-analysis in the field of bifurcation, comparing one stent to two stents. And this meta-analysis showed that in non-randomized studies, there is some advantage of using one stent as compared to two stents. So provisional side branch stenting is better, but of course sometimes you need two stents. So probably we'll have to discuss about that. We have also data from a very nice study from Korea, the cross and perfect studies, which showed that routine final kissing bone inflation or leaving it alone give a similar outcome. Of course, there is other studies maybe showing different results, and that single stent versus crush technique give also in this study very comparable results. So maybe we should ask to Dr. Park, what is your opinion about this data from Cross and Perfect?
Yes, it's a Cross and Perfect trial is performed initiated by our center, and the multi-center trial is a cross trial was targeting the initially intact side branch, and the perfect trial is targeting the initially diseased side branch. So, and even in the cross trial after stenting crossover, even though there was some jail, and if there was no the TIMI flow reduction and the flow is okay, and then randomization is the routine kissing balloon and leave it alone. And in the simple bifurcation region with the intact side branch, the cross trial shows the no difference at all in the MACE, including death, MI, and repeat revascularization. The right side is the true bifurcation region. The one is the initially cross technique versus one is a single stent if require optional the kissing balloon or optional T-stenting. There was no difference of any outcome, and this is I think this is some reflect real the pattern of a clinical trial and the real outcome, and the overall outcome that shows the simpler is better to treat complex PCI bifurcation region.
So do you think that the result from COBIS-2, for example, comparing COBIS-1, who showed that there is no difference between final kissing balloon inflation in COBIS-1 was associated with worse outcome, but in COBIS-2 it was associated with better outcome.
Yeah, right.
So is it a question of refinement of the kissing balloon inflation with short balloons, non-compliant balloons, long inflation, or is it different techniques? What is your opinion?
Yeah, right. It's the COBIS, even in COBIS trial is 1 and 2, some complete result, and the COBIS-2 trial is the kissing balloon was better, and one is the kissing balloon do not make any some difference, and our perfect trial, angiographical outcome, I think two stent or one stent some make a difference, but in the hard endpoint like death, MI, clinical driven revascularization for bifurcation region, just except the left main region, it is difficult to make some clinical relevant difference if you choose the single stent versus the complex stenting. Our studies reconfirm, some is the provisional stenting is good option for treat bifurcation region. Yes.
So maybe we should move to the next step, and I will ask to David, because you showed last year at the TCT meeting that there was so that a planned provisional approach versus two-stent approach in left main was associated with better outcome.
Yeah.
So maybe you can comment about this.
Well, as you introduced, I think when we think about left main disease, there are really two broad concepts. One is strategy and one is technique. And a lot of operators think that they're the same, but they're really different. Strategy would mean a single stent versus two stent, perhaps. Technique is, of course, open to final kissing balloon and the stent crush technique, or DK crush, or culotte, or other. And in the Excel trial, this was representative in some ways of real-world practice in the context of a very highly rigorous trial. So while there were recommendations with regard to technique, in this trial, patients underwent a single stent provisional technique in the majority of the cases, but a single stent technique too does not mean necessarily that there's no treatment of the side branch. In fact, balloon angioplasty occurred in approximately 70% of the cases, and side branch stenting occurred in total of the planned single stent techniques in about 15 to 20% of the cases. But overall in this study, what we identified is that when there was no side branch involvement or a single side branch involvement, that a single stent technique was superior with regard to death, myocardial infarction, and stroke. In particular, we saw a significant difference, in fact, in mortality, as well as significant differences in repeat revascularization. On the other hand, when both side branches were involved, a two-stent technique provided statistically similar results. But importantly, it's also important to note that these events of death and MI and repeat revascularization were still numerically higher with the two-stent technique as well. And so I think that even despite studies like DK Crush, that there's an opportunity for continued study in the true bifurcations, in bifurcations with involvement in both side branches. And of course, this is a focus of the EBC main trial, and I think this will be a very insightful study.
Yeah, I think it's very important point that in Excel, using two stents does not decrease the risk of target vessel revascularization. So I think it's a very important point. Okay. Of course, as you know, there is a lot of techniques that can be used when we have to use two stents in a bifurcation lesion, and of course the question is which side branch lesion should be treated and especially should be stented. So maybe I will ask to Yves Louvard about that. I think it's a very important point also in the field of bifurcation lesions.
So we are no more in the left main.
No.
We are in bifurcation. So I think if we look at the first studies, the first randomized trial we had comparing 1 versus 2 stents, sometimes they were 1 versus 2, sometimes they were, because it was nearly forbidden to cross over to 2 stents, only in case of decreased flow and something, and some others were a real provisional. I mean, like Cactus, where it was allowed to put a second stent, 30% about. So when we look at these initial trials, in all comers, not 111, not 011, all comers, there was no difference. And we can ask the question between 1 or 2 stents. We can ask the question why. And was proposed recently by Dr. Koo, that this is related to the fact that most of the side branches that were treated in these studies were not clinically relevant. I mean, unable to create chronically, not acutely, but chronically, to create any event in the future. So, if this is the case, we can, if we are able to define what are the characteristics of the non-clinically relevant branches, we can modify the definition of bifurcation we have today, just to say that these side branches are not big enough, or not long enough, or not have not enough flow, or they are not giving more than 10% ischemia. And these side branches we don't have to take care, except it to be safe acutely by putting a wire. So this is something we have to define better. So we have now one criteria defining relevant side branch, was for diagonal. The diagonal longer than 73 millimeter in CT scan is a relevant diagonal. But this is not usable for everyday practice. So we have to find something easier, maybe the diameter, or a way to distinguish between the ischemia generated by the diagonal and the ischemia generated by the LED will be very difficult. So I think the solution probably will be something like the diameter, or a score like the score proposed by Monconcourt. An example is this score. If you have, for example, 3 diagonals, it's highly probable that none of these diagonal is clinically relevant.
Yeah.
None of these diagonal is able to create more than 10% ischemia. So this is a new concept. I think it's important to limit the technique beginning systematically by stenting the side branch.
So very important to think about the relevance of the side branch lesion, and in some cases you don't need to do anything except to protect the side branch. Okay. So we have this recent paper from Jack intervention last year, looking at the strategy for left main. So now we are talking about the left main, and I think it's maybe you can comment about this strategy.
I was in this paper, so I'm not happy
why.
about something. You see a dotted arrow. Personally, I was asking to have not a dotted arrow, but a real arrow. So, I mean, if you have a tight lesion, even a long lesion, even a very long lesion, very complex lesion on the side branch, you know that you have to put 2 stents.
Yeah.
But provisional strategy is also a double stenting technique.
Yeah.
It's a double stenting strategy.
Yeah.
So personally, I would have put a real arrow going to the provisional strategy, but with systematic stenting at the end. And my practice is to put normally at the end a T-stenting or a tap, depending which cells are enter the side branch. But you can also do a culotte.
And that would be consistent too, Yves, with the Excel experience that in cases in which there was involvement in both side branches, approximately 60% of the cases were 2-stent cases, but not necessarily all of them too. So I agree with your comments about the solid line versus the option.
You always, using the provisional, you always can have a good luck that after kissing balloon, even with the FFR, you are unable to show any problem in the side branch, and you can leave unstented. So,
David, what is interesting is in Excel, it's when you look at the Medina classification and the treatment that was used, it's very strange to me to see that you have 100 lesions which were treated with 2 stents, or 101 lesions treated with 2 stents. It's very strange to me. So, do you have an explanation about that?
Part of the explanation is this is real world practice,
Yeah.
and the other, and I say that in part in seriousness, but the other issue too is that these were distal bifurcation cases in which there was involvement of the distal left main segment, but not the side branches. And presumably, we have not looked into this further with the angiographic core lab, but whether this was compromise of the side branch that motivated, rather than a provisional approach, but instead motivated the operator to put a second stent. Presumably that's the case, but we don't know for certain. And in part, I think these data, along with others, inform procedural technique. They've for my own practice, where we perform this procedure quite commonly, like you all, it's even further made me reluctant to use a 2-stent technique and to approach even true bifurcations, true 1-1-1 or 0-1-1 bifurcations more with a provisional approach.
Yeah, I think it was a kind of misunderstanding in the past that provisional means 1 stent.
Yes.
But provisional means that you are put a one stent, but then you are open to do a 2-stent technique, whatever the technique.
What I observe in this highly metallic era, when I'm going in meetings, especially in Asia, what I see is when it's simple, everybody is okay to say, this is provisional, this is simple technique. When it's complex, okay, the only solution is decay crush. But when it's very complex, then we are back to provisional.
Yeah, right.
This is a paradox we can
definitely.
observe.
Yeah, I agree with Rubert, and I definitely agree. This is a very practical diagram to showing how do we treat the distal left main bifurcation lesion. But at this point, we should think about the study design and DK Crush 5 and also EBC main trial. Looking at the right side is a very diffuse and tight and complex circle region. Left side is the same true bifurcation region, relatively complex, simple circle branch. But the DK Crush 5 is there was no stratification, just a random, simple versus complex, without any the stratification according to that region. EBC main is the same. So I think right side is definitely vulnerable to compounding by indication. Even though the circle region is a very calcified, very tight region, it's a randomization, provisional stent, we can treat well with the provisional stenting. As the concordance comment from Rubert, definitely most physicians is try to the systemic stenting, two stenting, the right side. So I think there is some pitfall of the current DK Crush 5 trial and EBC left main trial, definitely difficult to do.
At first glance, the Excel results and others, which suggest more of a provisional single stent approach rather than a upfront two stent approach, seem discordant with DK Crush 5. On the other hand, DK Crush 5 was dedicated to true bifurcations.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, even in true bifurcations in Excel, we saw at least a trend or numerical benefit with a single stent provisional approach. And I definitely performed DK Crush in selected instances along with culotte or T in protrusion techniques. But what I'd also like to see is another external validation of the DK Crush technique, because we perform it globally, but the trials are generally coming from the same group who are extremely familiar with it. I'm challenged by on the provisional approach of the DK Crush 5 trial of a stent thrombosis rate of over 3% in the provisional approach. That doesn't seem
Very
quite
surprising.
consistent with our other observations, and so I'd like to see more data about the stent technique.
I agree.
And I think as an aside too, your ongoing EBC main trial is really needed at this point. I think it's going to be exceptionally informative.
So maybe we can comment the main data about DK Crush 5, showing that DK Crush is superior to provisional. Maybe Yves, you have comment?
I think in this study, I read that cautiously this trial, there is a methodological problem that was found previously in DK Crush 2. We can also see it in another study coming from China by Lin, and it was seen also in Nordic 4, which is the influence of coronary angiography on reintervention, on rate of reintervention. So Xiaolian Chen say that the systematic coronary angiography was scheduled after the endpoint, so after 1 year, which is the time of the endpoint. But in fact, if you look in the paper, you see that the coronary angiography was done at 360 days plus minus 50. So it means that it was done between 10.5 months and 13.5 months.
Yep.
And what we see in the last 2 weeks of the schema here is for me very clearly the influence of a systematic coronary angiography. So if they are treating lesion creating responsible of ischemia, is okay. So never in the paper we see that FFR was done. No FFR was done. So they are treating what was carena shift or what was ovalization of the side branch after implantation in the main vessel. They are probably not treating lesion responsible of ischemia. So this is the methodological problem. And there is another problem which is for us very difficult to understand, which is a higher amount of MI, mainly periprocedural, as you can see, in patients treated with provisional. In all studies published was exactly the contrary from the beginning of the. So what is the reason? I would say that the mean length of the lesion in the side branch was 16 millimeter, which is extremely long. and more than 50% were more than 10 millimeters.
Yeah.
I was saying that this morning. If you are dealing with a lesion in the side branch which is very long, we all know that we need a second stent. So we can consider maybe that in this study where the double stenting in the provisional group was done in 47% of patients, maybe it was not enough, and they left ugly lesions responsible of periprocedural MI. That's one explanation, but we have to wait maybe some new data is coming from this trial to understand this. I don't understand this.
Yeah. And they were
This difference.
supposed to do kissing balloon inflation after provisional.
It was not done
And
in
put a
20%,
stent
yeah.
if the result was not good after kissing balloon inflation. But kissing balloon inflation was done in 79% of cases. So,
And also we don't know which technique was used in the 47% of double stenting.
yeah.
So
So a kind of
can also depend of this.
okay. So optimal crush versus suboptimal provisional.
Yeah, maybe.
And oculostenotic reflex maybe at the end of the 1 year follow-up. Okay, so ABC main is ongoing study. So maybe so today we have no data about that. It's a comparison between in true bifurcation left main disease. One stent strategy is a provisional approach, so it means that we can use the second stent, or plan two stent technique. So I think the study will be completed next year, and we'll have the data probably in 2020.
The end of 19, probably, maybe 20.
So you had a comment? No?
Oh, I was just going to add, though, that I think that study, in many ways, designed, as you shared with me earlier, Thierry, as a non-inferiority study, will be helpful. But I think we'll find even more answers beyond just the primary answer from this. And it may be even just what you're saying, too, that in instances in which there is much more extensive disease in the side branch, perhaps those are the cases in which two stents are clearly needed from the outset, too. So there may be even more answers than just the primary endpoint.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, of course.
So maybe we should move to the second chapter with this concept approach and using FFR, IVUS, and etc. for bifurcation. We have already discussed a little bit about that in the first chapter, looking at the significance of the side branch lesion. I think it's very important.
This is the relevance, there is significance.
Yes, I agree.
Maybe
I agree.
related to FFR, but
Yeah.
relevance is slightly different.
I agree. So as you know, Dr. Koo has worked a lot on FFR evaluation of the side branches, and we learned a lot from that. We overestimating the side branch lesions significance by angiography as compared to FFR, and before. And I think especially at follow-up for left main bifurcation lesion, before treating the side branch, which was not treated at the first procedure, we should do FFR evaluation or ischemic evaluation before treating the side branch, because in many cases it's not significant. This is the data from another group showing that after main vessel stenting we have overestimation of the side branch lesion in the majority of cases. This is a concept which I think is very important, and showing that when you have less than 10% of ischemic burden, you have no improvement by doing revascularization as compared to medical treatment. So we should have that in mind when we are treating the side branches. So this is the relevance, as you said, of the side branch. And maybe Dr. Park, you can comment about this CT-FFR data.
Right. And most of interventional cardiologists is interested about how much important of side branch and how much important of clinical relevant of side branch. And although many cardiologists interested in the side branch relevance, there was no several data to support is how much importance is the lacking of data evidence. But this study is performed in the another major center in our country, and they do systematically CTFFR. They try to evaluate it according to the side branch location and how much relevance of the side branch is. They measured the myocardial mass more than 10% was clinically relevant. Looking at the diagram, is the main branch is usually is a myocardial mass more than 10%. Looking at the side branch is just left main the suck myocardial mass more than 10%, but another region diagonal branch and the mid diagonal branch and the suck OM branch and the PDA branch, overall myocardial mass usually less than 10%, and this is some not exact measurement, but I think this is some important is indirectly the proposal how much relevant of a side branch according to the location of the bifurcation region. How about Robert?
I have no more comments. I think we can see, for example, that when we have three diagonal, it's completely sure that no one is significant. So you can, if you have the three, it's a very long lesion with three diagonal inside, you can put wires, but no more, of course.
I think these data also help support for the left main bifurcation the need for ensuring more than anything that you have a very exceptional result. And I've always been challenged with the issue in a single stent method for the left main bifurcation of using FFR, because not for the relevance that whether it's a hemodynamically significant lesion or not, but with a single stent crossover technique, and if the left circumflex is the side branch, you already have this geometric conformational change at the origin of the circumflex to a more elliptical shape. You already have at least a 10% reduction in the minimal luminal area, and it may not be hemodynamically significant, but does that have consequences later downstream with regard to later progression of disease or restenosis at that site? And at meetings like this, we commonly say that we don't routinely treat the side branch, but even in the Excel trial in the single stent group, side branch angioplasty occurred in more than 70% of the cases. So it's quite commonplace, and indeed, when we talk about it amongst ourselves, we commonly do perform that. And Eve, you showed some data today too that I thought was interesting that may support side branch treatment just in terms of changing the flow patterns and shear stress in the side branch. And I wanted you to maybe talk a little bit, does that concept support that maybe we should perform more side branch balloon angioplasty even if the lesion doesn't, even if the side branch doesn't look compromised?
Personally, I'm a fan of kissing and doing things a long time. And I see several advantages. If there is the correlate, you have to enter the distal cell. If you enter the distal cell, you push a metal in the side branch, and you will avoid to create a new carena where concentrated the risk of stent thrombosis is there. So, and another advantage, I don't see any other method to put the carena in the good physiological position, because the role of the carena is to share the flow, and to share the flow proportionally to the diameter of the two distal vessels, which are proportional to the amount of supported myocardium. So I think since a long time that for me the best was to do a kiss, and we have some support coming from the COBIS2 registry showing that even in single stenting procedure, final kissing is good.
Yeah, I think it's a very important point, and opening the strut may have an impact on the long-term outcome.
Yeah.
Because what is missing here in our discussion is the long-term outcome.
Yeah.
When you look at Nordic at 10 years, you have a difference in mortality in single versus double stenting in non-left main lesion.
Yes.
In favor of single.
So that's incredible that a small thing like this can create a difference in mortality 10 years after that. Maybe it's related to difference in X-ray, or I don't know, but
But I think a perhaps misleading takeaway, I think you would agree, in Nordic bifurcation 3, at 6 months, the takeaway for in non-left main bifurcations was that side branch kissing balloon inflation was not needed. But in fact, if you followed those patients over late term, restenosis was more than double without kissing balloon inflation.
Absolutely.
And it may support the concepts that you both raise about flow dynamics and long-term consequences.
Okay, so I think it's time to conclude. In fact, we had to talk also about IVUS and OCT, but we had not enough time. I think functional evaluation is more important. And I hope that this session was very instructive, and I thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thierry.
Wonderful.